Well, welcome and thank you for joining us today on Level Up Law. I'm Susan Ingalls, Senior Staff Attorney with South Carolina Legal Services, and I will be the moderator of today's webcast. Today, we are joined by South Carolina Legal Services Public Benefits Unit Head, Jenny Kauffman. She will be leveling up your legal knowledge on Social Security overpayments, how they happen and what you can do about them. Please keep in mind that this is general information for the public and not legal advice. You should always consult with an attorney for any specific legal issues or questions that you have. Now, as we go along, be sure to put any questions you have in the question box on your screen. And we definitely invite you to do that. Jenny will do her best to answer them with general information. The webcast is being recorded. And as always, the recording and slides will be posted on our YouTube channel for SC Legal Services later this week. At the end of Jenny's presentation, we will provide you with information about how to apply for free legal assistance from South Carolina Legal Services. During today's webcast, all attendees will be in listen-only mode, so please do put your questions in the question box. And again, thanks so much for joining us, and I will turn things over to our Public Benefits Unit Head, Jenny Kauffman. Take it away, Jenny.
Well, welcome everybody. Before we get started, I want to remind everybody that Social Security field offices, that's the ones that are located in closest to where you live, they remain closed to the general public. You cannot just walk into them. They are taking appointments for critical needs, and if you have to give documents to them that you shouldn't send through the mail, they will make an appointment for you. But please do not show up at a Social Security office and expect to be served. So that brings us to the next reminder, which is wear a mask so we can get those offices open again and running. So this today is, I'm trying to get there. Social Security overpayments and what the Social Security Administration fails to tell you about them. We will cover a quick overview of overpayments and then appeals, waivers. There's something else that's called the change of the repayment rate. And there we will finally help you with how you can get extra help with Medicare premiums, which is important in trying to get your overpayment repayment rate reduced to the lowest amount possible. Now, a Social Security overpayment occurs when anytime an individual receives more money than they were allowed to receive from the Social Security Administration in any given month. It can be something that occurred 2 or 3 years ago or as recently as last month. But it's any time you get more money than you are supposed to. These are basic rules about what you should do whenever you are dealing with Social Security. Remember, they are a very large agency and mistakes get made because they are understaffed. So you need to keep proof of what you file, make copies of everything you send them, and please make sure there is a date on any document you send them. We often forget to put that date on there, and it's critical so that it can remind you of when you sent it in to Social Security. There are online appeals and the ability to file documents. So if you do deal with Social Security online, make sure you print the receipt that it gives you at the end. If you don't have a printer at home, take a picture of your computer screen. Either the computer itself can take the picture or you can take one with your phone. Anything you can do to capture what it was that you filed online. If you mail something to Social Security, please go into the post office and get proof of mailing. Or better yet, if you can afford it, send it certified mail, return receipt requested. That way you have proof that it was mailed and received. You need to remember, if you do not have proof you did something, it's going to be harder to argue with Social Security that you sent it. It's the biggest mistake that I see people making, is not having proof that they actually took something or mailed something to Social Security. Now, there's a number of different reasons that overpayments occur. And you have to remember there are two basic programs in Social Security. One is the Retirement, Survivors, and Disability Insurance Program, and the other one is SSI. For SSDI and retirement, the major reasons for overpayments to occur is the failure to report work activity. So anytime you go to work before your normal retirement age, you are supposed to be reporting your work activity. If you receive workers' compensation benefits, Social Security needs to know about that. The receipt of certain government pensions will reduce your Social Security retirement benefits. And so you have to report those. For most people, those government pensions are going away and being replaced by 401ks. But if you still are eligible to receive a government pension based on work activity alone, you need to tell Social Security about that. When a dependent lives in a different household, becomes eligible for benefits, it can make your benefits go down and result in an overpayment. Marriage or divorce changes the amount of benefits a person may be entitled to receive. And this for SSDI, if Social Security reviews your case and finds medical improvement, that can result in an overpayment. For SSI, these reasons: too much income, too many resources, marriage, living outside of the US for more than 30 days, and medical improvement are the top reasons people get overpaid. The first two are probably the top reasons that people get overpayment notices. They don't report their work, they don't report a spouse's work, they don't report child support or gifts, too many resources. Again, it's inheritance, gifts, and lottery winnings that are held over for more than 30 days. You have a number of options that you can do when you get an overpayment notice. You can file an appeal, you can request a waiver, you can request a lower repayment amount. If the overpayment is large enough, you may want to consider bankruptcy, and you can do nothing. But if you do nothing, they are going to take your check. The quick review of appeals, and this talk is not focused on appeals, but I need you to know that you can file an appeal. You do this if you think the Social Security Administration is wrong. Say you really did not get that inheritance, your family kept it. You can, or if you think your work activity that Social Security has was not accurate, you know, any reason that you think Social Security might be wrong, you need to file an appeal. What you do is you file a request for reconsideration. You can do that online, or you can print off the Form 561. Social Security has a fillable form online, so you don't have to do it by hand. You can call them and tell them you want to file a request for reconsideration. The deadline for doing that is 60 days plus 5 days for mailing. So check the postmark, especially during this COVID period. You need to check the postmark on the envelope that the notice came in, because there have been delays in the mail being sent out because there are not enough people in the actual offices to do the mailing. If you want to keep your benefits, you need to file that appeal within 10 days. Again, you get 5 days for mailing, so it's really 15. And you have to specifically request that your benefits can continue. And again, you can file an appeal online, but keep that receipt of filing, or mail your appeal and get proof of mailing it. Remember, I can't emphasize enough, even if you take a picture of your computer screen at the end of filing that appeal, that can help prove that you did it. I have a case right now where that is exactly what the client did. She took a picture of her computer, sent it to me, and I sent that to Social Security as proof of filing her appeal. Now, waivers. In general, for most overpayments, this is more important than filing the appeal. These, for the last decade, I would say that Social Security rarely gets the amount of the overpayment wrong. That's not to say they never do, but it's becoming less and less likely that they made a mistake. So what becomes important is trying to get the amount that they take out of your monthly benefits reduced to as little as possible. And the waivers are the way to do that. A waiver does not deal with whether Social Security is right or wrong. All you're doing is asking that what you owe to them be forgiven, or that you are required to only send them a smaller amount of money to repay the debt. You can file a waiver at any time. There is not a deadline in general. There is one thing, though, that you can't file multiple waivers if you were found at fault for creating the overpayment. Otherwise, anytime you have a change in your financial circumstances, you can file a new waiver request. Repayment stops, and this is important for you to know, because Social Security does get this wrong a lot of the time. Repayment of that debt is supposed to stop while Social Security is making a decision on whether or not to grant your waiver request. I can't tell you how many times that I see clients' benefits being reduced despite the fact that they filed a waiver and have proof of it. So you have to keep on Social Security to stop that collection while they're making a decision. And that includes up to the decision by an administrative law judge. You cannot file a waiver request online as of today's date. Social Security is working on that, but for right now, it's only available as a paper document. However, it is a fillable document that you can find online. As I said before, you have to show that you are without fault in causing the overpayment. In other words, you tried to do everything you were required to do, and you didn't lie to Social Security. Most of the time, you can meet this requirement as long as you have proof that you tried to do everything that it requires you to do. It's easier for them to find out if you withheld information from them because everything is online these days. So you can't hide your bank accounts. You can't hide your investments. You can't hide your real estate ownerships. I mean, I can find out who owns property online without needing to pay for it. So Social Security can find that as well. Plus, when you apply for benefits, you sign a release saying that you give them permission to look for everything that they need in order to provide you with benefits. So once you meet the test of without fault, you have to show that collection of the overpayment would cause you financial hardship, or there's some other compelling reason to grant the waiver request. Most people who file for waivers, it would cause them a financial hardship. And you need to understand if Social Security asks you to provide it with proof of how much you pay for your mortgage or rent or your utilities, you have to provide that information to them unless you're on public benefits. Again, going over without fault, it is something that Social Security uses. It's a term of art. There's very few legal cases on what that means. Social Security does have a general rule that says if you knew or should have known about the rules and you just ignored them, you may not be without fault. And Social Security sends everybody a little brochure telling them about their reporting requirements. Social Security is supposed to take into account your personal situation in determining fault. If you've been under a lot of stress, which most of us have been during COVID, if you've been sick, or maybe you can't read or write very well, or English is not your first language, or you're, say, blind and they sent you only written notices that weren't in Braille. No, these are reasons that they're supposed to take into account in determining whether or not you were with fault, or you were at fault, sorry. Were you misled by someone at Social Security? This one is really hard to prove, but if you have the name of the person that you talked to and they told you something on a certain day and you followed that, that may be sufficient, but you need to document that somewhere. You need a record of what you were told, who told you it, and the date they told you it. It's just a kind of hard to meet. Examples of without fault is you have a payee, somebody who's supposed to be handling your benefits, and that person did not tell Social Security about a change in your situation. A common problem that happens is you're working, you reported your earnings to Social Security, you kept proof of reporting that. You can do that online and keep that proof. Again, take a picture, and they didn't process your reports in a timely manner. You received an unexpected inheritance or financial gift. You receive SSI and you were hospitalized in a rehab facility, psychiatric facility, VA facility for more than 30 days, and you couldn't make the report. These are just some examples. There can be many, many more, but these are some of the main ones. Financial hardship. If you receive SSI or TANF or some other income-based financial assistance from a government agency, then that is automatic proof of financial hardship. For everyone else, you have to show that your basic living expenses exceeds your income. And please, you have to understand that these are basic living expenses. You can't have a $250 cable bill. Social Security won't allow that. You can't have a $200 a month telephone. You have to have just basic expenses. And you also have to have limited assets. Again, if Social Security looks for hidden assets, they're probably going to find them because they are suspicious for whatever reason. I am just telling you that people think that their assets can't be found, but Social Security has resources at their disposal that helps them to search for hidden assets and money. So I'm going to stop there. Are there any questions?
Jenny, we do not have any questions as of yet.
Okay. So there are two really, really easy waivers, or at least payment reduction rules that Social Security never tells you about. One is an administrative waiver, and I'll get into that. The other is if you receive Medicaid or any kind of financial help with your Medicare Part D premiums, Social Security is limited to collecting $10 a month, and that's all they can collect. It doesn't matter that it takes 100 years for you to repay the debt. They can only collect $10 a month. So an administrative waiver, all you have to show is that there's no indication that you did anything wrong, that you did. It's easier to prove than without fault. So it's easier for Social Security to just approve this than it is to try and collect it. Currently, if the overpayment is $1,000 or less, it will be waived. The POMS citation I've given you, you have to refer to that in any letter that you send to Social Security asking for this waiver. And I will tell you that the POMS is the policy manual for Social Security. You can find it online. You just have to type in a Google search, SSA POMS. You can put in this citation and it will pop up. But it's the program operating manual system for Social Security. It used to be a paper binder that filled a huge conference room, but it's all online now. You have to request this in writing. We will be providing a sample letter on our Law Help site, and you do not have to file the long waiver form. Often the field office representatives will say you need to file that form. You just say, no, look at the POMS SI 02260.030. I do not have to fill out the long waiver form. For the $10 collection payment, you must have a Medicare low-income subsidy that's provided through Medicaid. That's the Medicaid rule. Or a low-income subsidy or the Medicare savings program through Medicaid. Paying more would present an extreme financial hardship. That's where people really, their basic living expenses exceed their income, and they're having to find people who will help them pay. There are some other extenuating circumstances. I have never seen them approve a $10 payment on this basis. You need to just request it in writing. We again will have a sample letter provided on our Law Help site. You're not required to complete the waiver form. They continue to tell people that they do, but again, the POM site tells them that you don't need to submit the long waiver form or prove that you have financial hardship. It's presumed. And again, SSA does not tell people about this exception. These are just a few tips. Again, written request. Be truthful and tell your story. Include in the letter that you want collection to stop until they make a decision. Request a personal conference. Now, you need to do that, but you need to understand that it will be done over the telephone. There's no getting around that. You may want to ask a friend or a family member to be on the phone with you so that you have proof of what you told Social Security. Be persistent and be willing to cut a deal. It may be that they say, well, we think you can afford $20. If you think you can afford $20 and it gets it resolved, then accept their offer. And make sure you file a timely appeal if your waiver request is denied. I can't tell you how often people just don't file an appeal. And a year or two later, after Social Security's been collecting $100 or $200 or more dollars a month from their check, they have to start all over again. Any questions now?
No, ma'am. You're doing a great job of making everything clear.
Okay. So we're coming to the end of the waiver level up talk, and the Medicare low income subsidy and Medicare savings program. Most people, I would say Social Security does a pretty good job of telling people about the program, but a lot of individuals think that they don't need it or they don't want it because it's a welfare program. It's not. It's just a program that helps you pay for some of your out-of-pocket Medicare expenses. It has been around for decades. And while you have to apply for these programs, it gives you more money in your pocket, not just prevents Social Security from taking more out for repaying an overpayment, you have to remember a Medicare Part B premium, B as in boy, that's the Medicare benefit that pays for your doctors. It costs you at least $144 a month this year. It's going to probably cost $153 a month next year. If somebody else can pay that, your doctors won't know that Medicaid is paying for it. It doesn't show up on, you know, any kind of list or card. The state Medicaid program just pays that premium for you, and therefore you get an extra $144 or $153 more a month in your Social Security check. And if you were somebody who thought you didn't need Part B for whatever reason and you enrolled in it late and you're facing a penalty, the Medicaid program pays that penalty as well. You have to be, you know, somewhat low income, but it's not the same as SSI or even a regular Medicaid program. There are 3 different levels of eligibility, and I'll go over those. But if you're eligible for Medicare and you get help paying your premium, you're going to be eligible for the $10 rule, okay? And you have to remember Medicare is a federal health program for individuals 65 years of age or older, or for persons with a disability who have received SSDI for 24 months. These are pretty strict rules, but even if you're not eligible for Medicare because of your work history, the state often will buy into it to save themselves money. So watch out for that program. Looks like I forgot the slide telling you the different levels of the Medicare savings programs, but I will have a chart with that available on our Law Help site. And it goes up to, I believe, about $1,400 a month, which is about the average Social Security benefit that people receive. If all else fails and you can't get Social Security to respond to your request for a waiver or your appeal, and they are still taking money out of your check and you've done everything you were supposed to do, call your congressman. They have staff members whose only job is to deal with Social Security issues. That says a lot right there. And I have seen them be able to do much more to help a client than I could do by filing a lawsuit and waiting 2 years. They've been able to get things resolved in a matter of months. They have direct dial numbers available to the staff member in charge of Social Security issues that none of the rest of us have. And so they can get things resolved for you, but you have to call your congressman. I would not call your senator. They don't do as much with Social Security as your representative does, because Social Security is the oversight committee is Ways and Means, and it's part of the U.S. House of Representatives. So that's why I'm telling you to call your congressman. These are the various congressional districts in South Carolina. There is only going to be one change that I know about, and that's in the 1st Congressional District, and that is Charleston, Beaufort, and Joe Cunningham will no longer be your representative. I have an incorrect date there. It's actually as of January 3rd, 2021. Nancy Mace will be the representative for the Low Country. So it'll take her some time to set up her office. So that's all I have for right now. Anybody have questions?
Well, it looks like you did a fantastic job of explaining for us how Social Security overpayments work and what to do about them. That was an excellent presentation, Jenny, and I do want to thank you for it. And I'll just note for our viewers that we'll provide a link when this is posted to YouTube. We'll provide a link in the description below this video that will link you to the documents that Jenny has referred to in the presentation. So it'll be easy to click on that and find what Jenny's referred to as far as outside information. We also want to thank all of you who joined us today. We really do appreciate your interest in this subject matter as well as others. I do want to be sure that everyone knows that Level Up Law is a series of free webcasts that we do weekly to educate the public on some of the legal challenges that are commonly faced by our client population here at South Carolina Legal Services. So you can join us every Tuesday at noon to learn the basics of a particular topic, as well as how to avoid pitfalls and protect yourself. You can find this and all of the previous Level Up Law webcasts on our YouTube channel. You just go to YouTube and search SC Legal Services. Go to the Level Up Law playlist, and there they are. Be sure to give us the thumbs up on this video, and be sure also subscribe to our YouTube channel so you'll get alerts every time one of these is posted. So give us a day or two to get this one uploaded, and you can listen to it again. Now, if you have an issue and you need legal assistance and cannot afford a lawyer, you can see here on the screen the information on applying for our help here at South Carolina Legal Services. You may be eligible for our free legal representation. For those who are in listen-only mode and are not viewing on GoToMeeting, that's toll-free number 888-346-5592. Our Office of Intake Personnel is standing by to take your call. And also remember that we do provide online intake, so you can do it from your computer. You don't have to get on the phone and wait for your call to come up in the queue. So that's important too. And you can see that the online application is through our Law Help website. And also on Law Help, we have a lot of resources that are available to you for free. It includes other videos, brochures, articles, checklists, all kind of great information, including online classrooms that are virtual and teach you how to handle a particular legal matter on your own. So please do go and check that out. So again, Jenny, thank you so much for providing this presentation for us. It was excellent. And we thank our listeners for tuning in. And we do hope that you'll tune in again next Tuesday at noon, when we will be talking about child custody in South Carolina. One other easy way to see what's coming up each week is check out our Legal Services Facebook page, or you can follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We announce these episodes on all of those social media channels. So that concludes today's webinars. Thanks again, Jenny, and our listeners. We look forward to having you back with us next week.
Bye-bye.